Welcome to the City of East Providence City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, August 16th, 2022. May we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. I and to the republic which stands one nation, visible, justice. Thank you. Deputy Clerk, may we start off with a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Councilman Cahoon.
Here.
Councilman Morato.
Here.
Council Vice President Rodrick.
Here.
Council President Brito.
Next item, please.
Next item is motion to seal executive session minutes.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Roll vote, please.
Councilman Cahoon.
Aye.
Councilman Morato.
Aye.
Council Vice President Rodrick.
Aye.
Council President Brito.
Aye.
Next is consent calendar for discussion and possible vote. Council journals from the regular meeting minutes of July 19th, 2022. And the letters, notice of new property number, Richard Palumbo, 56 Fenmore Street, map 307, block 12, parcel 002.10, and notice of new property number, State of Rhode Island Department of Transportation, 308 Bourne Avenue, and that's map 203, block 1, parcel 005.00, and tax abatements total in the amount of 6880.07. That's all of it.
Would anyone like to make a motion to accept the council journals?
That's all.
Move approval of the council journals as read.
And-
Consent agenda.
Have a second?
Second.
Vote, please.
Councilman Cahoon. Councilman Morato.
Aye.
Council Vice President Rodrick.
Aye.
Council President Brito.
Aye.
Next item is licenses for discussion and possible vote. If you would like, we can bundle the licenses C1 through C8.
Motion to bundle to C1 to C8.
Any objections to bundling? No objections. We have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Second. Roll call vote, please.
Motion to bundle licenses C1 through C8. Councilman Cahoon. Councilman Morato.
Aye.
Council Vice President Rodrick.
Aye.
Council President Brito. Next would be the motion to approve licenses C1 through C8.
Anyone like to make a motion? To approve the bundle?
To approve the bundle.
The licenses, excuse me. Any second on that?
Second.
Vote, please.
Yes, sir. Councilman Cahoon. Councilman Morato.
Aye.
Council Vice President Rodrick.
Aye.
Council President Brito.
Next item, please.
Sorry. Next item, proclamations and presentations. Presentation and possible acceptance of the City of East Providence's revised 2022 hazard mitigation plan. And the presenter is the City of East Providence Planning Department.
Mr. Fazioli? Oh, there you are.
Good evening. Thank you. I just want to provide a very basic overview of what the plan represents. It's a 5-year update of our hazard mitigation plan that's required by FEMA. There are a number of benefits of the plan, obviously for the community, but also for residents that they receive reduced flood insurance premiums because of the fact the city has the plan. The plan is a tremendous amount of work that's conducted actually by the city's EMA department, but right now that person's housed in the planning department, Mr. Wayne Barnes. The good news is that the plan has already received, it was submitted to FEMA for review, and they've already given it an approval status of pending adoption by the city council, which is required. So, and the planning board also approved it last night, making an advisory opinion to the city council that they approve it tonight. But I'll have Mr. Barnes describe the plan, the purpose and the context, and provide further information on it.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. Good evening. We've gone over this at some length before, so I'll be brief, but you may recall we came to council back in December of 2021 with a little presentation of what the plan is and why, and also a request for comments from the council and any public comments that they
think so.
Is that better? Okay, I'm sorry. I probably turned it off myself. But that, general description of the plan, there's, in addition to the action items, there's a lot of basic information about weather hazards, which is, this mostly deals with. I went pretty involved and in-depth with that because that's what I do. And FEMA actually likes to see all that information, and at one point actually asked me for more. So there's, probably 40, 50 pages of that sort of information outlining all of the hazards that we have. And this includes climate change and sea level rise and, the specter of possibly having hurricanes and storm surge and all that sort of stuff. And some of our action items deal with, mitigating those hazards. You're not going to end flooding, you're not going to end droughts, you're not going to end heat waves. But what we're trying to do is deal with these for the benefit of city residents to the best that we can. FEMA did issue an approval of this draft of our plan back on August 5th. So we are all set as far as FEMA is concerned with this plan. And the final step in the plan is to get the city council adoption of the plan. And that comes in the form of a vote by the council. And the evidence of that vote is a resolution which appears later in tonight's agenda. And when that resolution is all set and signed off, we actually send that to FEMA and it becomes a permanent part of the document. So that is our evidence that we completed this. Met with the planning board last night. The planning board issued an opinion requesting that the council adopt the hazard mitigation plan. And that's basically what we're here for tonight. Willing to ask any questions on this process or answer any questions on the process or on the plan itself.
Just one, Wayne, again, the timing that it needs to be updated Is it annually or?
This
I
is a
remember this
5-year
presentation before.
update.
It's 5 years. 'Cause I remember.
Every year, we go through the plan, we go through the action items, and we provide a little progress report for FEMA, letting basically them know that we are keeping track of this, we're watching this, and, any progress, even if there isn't any, particularly during that year, we keep everything on the table and we send the progress report. And I think we actually did pretty well with the 2017 action items. We were able to report back quite a bit of progress, and hopefully we will be able to do that again during the cycle. So it's a 5-year plan, but we do look at it annually.
Questions from the council? Thank you, Mr. Bonds.
Does anybody have an objection to moving that resolution up so we can take a vote on it now?
Not at all.
No, page 9.
Would anyone like to, sorry, would anyone like to form this resolution into a motion?
So with regard to new business, item C4, move to approve the resolution adopting the 2022 City of East Providence Rhode Island Local Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Have a motion on the floor at this point in time. Would anyone like to second that motion?
Second.
We have a roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Councilman Cahoon, Councilman Morato.
Aye.
Council Vice President Rodrick.
Aye.
Council President Brito.
Mr. President, with your permission and if there's no council objection, could I go back and just make a very brief comment regarding the licenses that bundled and approved, not requesting any vote change, I just have a comment.
Anyone in particular?
Yes, number 4, the mobile food establishment, which is from Blount Food. And I just, sometimes when we bundle, people either here or watching at home don't hear all the specifics. And there's been a lot of interest in the community about, are we going to see Blount again? And it looks like we are. It's a mobile food truck. Madam Deputy Clerk, is this mobile truck, as you recall when they come in for this, is this to go anywhere? Are they going to go by Crescent Park mostly? Do you know? I guess they can go anywhere with this permission.
Any MFE is allowed to be anywhere that we allow a food truck.
Okay. So for public's edification, Blount is back and of sorts. And it'll be interesting. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Deputy Clerk. Next item, please.
Next item is communications. It's the Riverside Recreation Field, and there's a letter to be read from Eleanor Forey. Am I saying that right? Did I say it correctly? Did you want to read it, or would you like me to read it for you? Would you like me to read it for you, or do you want to read it? You want me to read it? Okay. So we have a letter that was written on July 25th, 2022. Honorable Mayor De Silva, President of the City Council, Honorable Robert Brito, and members of the City Council. The neighbors surrounding the Riverside Rec would like to thank you all, especially Councilman Robert Rodrick, for the excellent work that is presently going on at this facility. We would like to suggest that the storage bin that is parallel to Somerset Ave be painted with murals of the sports that are usually played, such as football, soccer, and baseball. The bin is now partly green and looks very shabby. The paint is peeling and is in need of a going over, and the art class of the new beautiful high school could make this class a class project and make the work done at this field really shine for the neighborhood. Please let us know, and we would like to have this read under communications at the next council meeting.
Any questions?
I'll just add, maybe we can between Riverside Middle School Art Department, our high school, and maybe the East Providence Arts Council. I know I, for one, will pass along that recommendation that we beat the graffiti artists to it and get some sports art put up there. Good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item would be public comment. Did you want to hold?
For those who wishing to speak for the resolution regarding meta comment, we can have that during the time of the resolution. Or if you choose to come and speak now, you can speak now. There isn't. You'll have your 3 minutes either way. Yes. Yes, unless someone wants to make a motion to move it up.
I don't have a problem with moving up. I mean, we seem to have a lot of people here for that.
Yeah, I agree. We could have discussion and a vote now. Move it up. It's fine. Sure, sure.
Public comment is allowed. Yes. Yeah, three. So let's,
So do we have public comment on anything else? Okay.
so we'll tie it into the resolution.
Six is resolution accepting and ratifying the modifications of the 2003 East Providence Waterfront Special Development District Plan and amended boundaries and accepting 9.062 acres as Lot B shown herein. Sponsors, Council President Brito.
On that, I just want clarification. It's, this is a typo that was caused by me. It's actually 9.6 acres. So the first thing I'd like to do is on Lot B, I just want to make sure that we amend the resolution, because even the title of the resolution says 9.06 acres. So resolution should reflect 9.6 acres.
Would anyone like to make a motion at this point in time for clarification on the amount of acres that
To be 100%
resolution is discussed?
isn't it 9.602 acres? Okay. All right. So move to amend the title of item C6 as follows. It should read resolution accepting and ratifying the modifications of the 2003 East Providence Waterfront Special Development District Plan and amended boundaries and accepting 9.602 acres as Lot B shown here.
We have a motion on the floor at this point in time. We have a second on that motion.
Second?
Exactly. All right, Deputy Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Yes, sir. Councilman Cahoon, Councilman Morato, Council Vice President Rodrick,
Aye.
Council President Brito.
Let me just briefly go over the resolution. So without reading the entire resolution, I'm just gonna give an idea, read some of it, a couple of paragraphs here, and then we can go into any public comment discussion. Without reading the entire resolution, I'm gonna read some of the resolution here. We'll go into public comment and we'll have any, if the applicant would also like to have a discussion on this as well, we'll open that up for discussion as well. Resolution accepting and ratifying modifications to 2003 East Providence Waterfront Special Development District Plan and amended boundaries and accepting 9.602 acres at Lot B shown herein. Whereas the city of East Providence adopted a certain ordinance and amendment of Chapter 19 on the revised ordinance of the city of East Providence, Rhode Island, 1998, as amended entitled zoning on July 20th, 2021. Zoning change ordinance modifying the boundaries of the East Providence Waterfront District, and creating a new sub-district therein known as the Metacomet quote-unquote sub-district. And whereas the city of East Providence adopted certain ordinance and amendment of the city of East Providence 2010-2015 comprehensive plan updated on July 20th, 2021, modifying the city of East Providence generalized land use map, specifically map 1 and map 3, the comprehensive plan amendment ordinance, to designate the property as being within the waterfront district and more specifically being a new sub-district of the waterfront district designated the Metacomet quote-unquote sub-district. And whereas the waterfront district was created pursuant to the certain act related to special development district, East Providence, enacted July 17, 2023. The act, and whereas in connection with the approval of the zoning change ordinance, several conditions of the effectiveness of the zone change ordinance were expressively described, including the requirement that a portion of the assessors map 107, block 15, parcel 1, known as the property, quote unquote, be subdivided and conveyed to the city of East Providence as a condition to approval of any development plan for the property, subdivision conditions. So without going on any further, what I would do is, what I'd like to do is have Mr. Fazioli come in and do an introduction. Waterfront District did come up and had, excuse me, the Waterfront District did have a vote on this. I think it was last week or the week before. If you want to recap that meeting briefly, and we can go into public comment and any other discussions that be required at this time.
Just to give you a little background, actually, there were several meetings leading up to tonight's. Back in May, the applicant presented a subdivision to the planning board, the city's planning board, to subdivide the property. Pursuant to the council vote last July to create public space of about 9.6 acres. So that was, planning board heard that, deferred action until June. There was a action then taken in June by the planning board to accept that subdivision, approve the subdivision in June of 9.6 acres. A few nights later, the Waterfront Commission, and again in June, amended its district boundary map to include the new boundaries of the waterfront district, absent the 9.6 acres, because this 9.6 acres is not inside the waterfront district. It's city property, zoned open space, so it's not within the waterfront district. That was done in late June, and then in July, the Waterfront Commission had to take a step to ratify or affirm the vote that was taken by the council last July, creating the zone change and creating the waterfront district, the new sub-district, the Metacomet sub-district. So back just a few weeks ago, I think it was July 21st was the date, the Waterfront Commission took a vote, it was a public hearing, and it basically affirmed the amendment to the waterfront district plan made by the council, so we would recognize it as a body on ours to recognize the new sub-district. And it was the same exact language that was passed by the council in July of 2020.
Mr. Fazioli, can you clarify for the public, assessors map 107, block 15, parcel 1, exact location, so people.
Well, it's largely on the Fort Street Lion Avenue, pretty much for the most part. It's goes down on Lion Avenue from about, it goes on Lion Avenue at the intersection of Fort and Lion, probably up, not as far as the medical office, but probably up to where the Little League is, across from the Little League. And it goes down from on Fort Street down to, I think, Bentley Street. It's a 300-foot buffer from the street line into the Metacomet property.
Any questions from the council?
So I have a question on the that attachment. One plan addendum. Assuming that on that second page, B, land use, it mentions hotel in that sentence. I'm assuming that's a typo.
That's correct. The schedule, the table of land uses is attached to the appendix, and hotels are not a prohibited use. They're not allowed.
I did see that in that table also. I was just curious as to why.
Yeah, it did come up the day after. One of the Waterfront Commission members asked about that, but we immediately clarified it with Attorney Marcello and the Waterfront Commission Attorney Amy Goins, and it was clear that the controlling factor is that use table. So it's clearly a prohibited use. Hotels are not allowed.
So if this thing was to pass tonight, would that have any effect, or do we have to make a motion to have that stricken?
Should have. The use. Table that. That's
And it was clearly stated during that July meeting of 2021 that hotels were completely removed for us as well. So during the ordinance, during the discussion, during the passage of the ordinance, it did not include a hotel. Any other questions from the council? Now I'll open this up for those who signed up. Public comment.
First on the public comment sheet is Candy Seal for the Waterfront District Amendment.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Clerk. I need to change my statement around a bit because you've addressed several of the issues that I was concerned about. Thank you for changing the resolution to the 9.6 acres. I don't think it was just a transposition of numbers. At the planning board meeting that Mr. Fazioli just mentioned, developer's attorney offered a plan for 9.062 acres, and he was referring to, that was based on natural boundaries and mature trees, and it seemed a natural break in the two parcels. As you'll recall, Mr. Marcello, you refused that plan and demanded the full 9.6 acres. And Attorney Conley and his team went back to the drawing board to find the additional acreage. So it wasn't just a typo on your part. That language came from the developer's initial petition for zone change. That actual language came from his petition. It was just flowed right into the ordinance, table of ordinances. A problem is that the 9.062 acres actually also is included in the Waterfront District Commission's plan resolution. That 9.062 acres was incorrectly brought out from the planning board to the commission and now here. So it's not enough that we say, oh, it's really 9.6 acres. It has to go back to the commission because otherwise we'll say 9.6 and they'll say, no, it's 9.062. As to the hotel, I'm glad you've also discussed that. And I don't think it's as simple as saying, oh, whoops, it happened. It's in the ordinances now. It's in section 19.40. This has to come out of the ordinances. It can't just be, oh, we've left it in there by mistake. That came directly from the developer's petition for zone or zone change. I think that really has to be taken care of. But to my main point, KMG has proposed an amendment to the Waterfront Commission's amendment that mirrors the language in the plan for the Kettle Point and Veterans Memorial Parkway subdistricts regarding the parkway itself. As it currently reads, the plan contains language for these two subdistricts that specifically calls for limiting development to the traffic capacity that the parkway can bear. In the case of the parkway subdistrict itself, additional language pertaining to the parkway requires in no uncertain terms that the scale of development shall be limited without the addition of any traffic signals. The planning department suggests that this issue will be dealt with at the design guideline stage of the commission's process. However, the language in these other two subdistricts was embedded into the 2003 plan itself, not added into design guidelines that were written at a later date. KMG believes that it is inconceivable that the protections written into the plan for these other subdistricts would not carry over to the Metacomet subdistrict as well. We feel strongly that the dependence on hypothetical design guidelines sometime down the road that may or may not address the integrity of the parkway is unacceptable. As for the amendment itself, I emailed it to you all last week. I've given you paper copies and there are some available at the agenda table. Due to the limits of time, I can't read the amendment to you right now, but it's certainly accessible. The council may wish to move this along tonight, but there's no need to rush just to satisfy the developer's schedule. The amendment should be sent back to the commission to correct that 9.062 acres. I hope that you would recommend that they incorporate our proposed amendment into theirs or do it yourselves. A very important issue is to table this vote until the Ward 2 council person is here to represent her 12,000 constituents in person. From what I understand, she was denied access to participate remotely this evening. This is her ward, for goodness sake. The culture and history of our community is at stake. The integrity of the 100-year-old parkway is at stake. It's on you to protect it. Here and now, this is your last chance before it goes into the hands of the Waterfront Commission. Protect it from becoming just another Route 2 in Warwick or Route 6 in Seekonk. That is not who we are. That's not what East Providence is all about. Please do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young.
If I can just make one comment. On your comment that Ms. Souza was denied access to this meeting tonight is not accurate. Under the COVID regulations, members of elected bodies like a city council were allowed to participate remotely. When the governor's executive order expired, elected members of public bodies must participate in person. So she did reach out to me indicating that she wanted to participate remotely. And I indicated that under the Open Meeting Act, which is an act which I know you're very familiar with,
Harry, yes.
she was not allowed to do so. So
Thank you.
it wasn't this council that denied her the access. It's the law. She couldn't be here in person. She was not allowed
I
to
wasn't making
participate.
accusations. Mr.
Well, when you use the word deny access, it's because the law did not allow her to participate in this meeting remotely.
Denied access. I understand.
Thank you. Just want to make that clear.
Then I think it's imperative that you table it until she comes back. Thank you very much.
Next person.
Next person is Heather Andrade.
Good evening. I am Heather Andrade, one of the leaders of Keep Metacomet Green, whose mission and purpose it is to save the land of Metacomet Golf Course for public use. And now we are working to save the Veterans Memorial Parkway, AKA Barrington Parkway, from destruction by developers and our own elected and non-elected officials. The citizens of East Providence are being told that our best interests are being taken into consideration concerning the destructive plan involving the Metacomet Golf Course land. What I want to know is, whose rules are we going by? How do you run a city and plan for development when you are following outdated bylaws? The current comprehensive plan that EP is supposed to be following is from 2010. 2010. It seems that if anyone wants to make